Hi, everyone. Apologies for being a couple minutes late. I'm quadruple booked myself today, so I'm running around. Um, Looks like we've got a good number of folks. And we've got an exciting meeting today. So maybe let's go ahead and get started, um, so that we can make sure we get through everything, which I have no doubt that we will. So the things that we have up for today, we are going to finalize our corporate documents, take an official vote with the launch committee to approve the bylaws and certificate of incorporation. And then we'll provide some updates on a handful of other things that we've been working on, including the board selection process. Our nominating committee representatives provide an update on the funding that we have been pursuing to date, and then kind of the work streams and high level plan for looking forward. And then some of the ideas that we have about continued stakeholder participation, looking in 2026 and beyond. So with that, Sarah, next slide, please. And I'm actually going to pass it over to Evie Call, thanks hugely to Evie and to Lisa Hickey, who have been really carrying the lion's share of the work on these documents. So thank you both for all the time and effort you've put in. And Evie, I will pass it to you to walk through what we're looking at today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kathleen. So what we're going to be looking at today are, as Kathleen said, approval of the certificate of incorporation that we'll be filing with the state of Delaware in January, and the bylaws that accompany the certificate. So we'll be filing, as I said, in January, the certificate of incorporation. That's all that needs to be filed in January to get us incorporated. Later in January, we will be filing with the IRS a Form 1023. And what that's going to get us is the tax exempt status we need as a 501c3 organization. It will include a 3-year budget, kind of a condensed business plan. Some of you have seen the business plan in longer form, and kind of a summary of our conflicts of interest policy. It will be accompanied by the bylaws that we're approving today. So that filing will also be made in January, shortly after we incorporate. And then we have been working on a number of different policies. Some of them you've seen, some of them probably not yet. The whistleblower policy, document retention, conflict of interest, records availability, open meetings, and the board selection policies. And so for the Form 1023 and all of those policies, we will be bringing those before the launch committee in January. And I think Sarah probably knows the date, but we'll be circulating drafts of those documents for adoption by the launch committee in January. And then with respect to the policies, the board will need to adopt some of those policies in January as well, the formation board. I wanted to highlight a couple of changes that have been made to the bylaws since everyone saw them last. They're fairly minor, but the first one is to section 5.2. And what we did in section 5.2 of the bylaws is to clarify the limitation on the formation board's scope of authority, essentially. We're making very clear that it cannot do tariff approval, business practices like the BPM approval, or approve any operating agreement between the CAISO and the RO. So we've just refined that language to make clear what it is we're talking about in terms of limitations. We've also revised section 5.7. What we're doing there is kind of making more neutral the language on staggering of terms of the board, because we've got, the formation board, then the initial board, then the final board. And so we're not precisely sure how we're going to do the staggering or when at this point. So we're softening it in the bylaws themselves so we can work that out later in the selection policy as we get closer to making that decision. So those are the only two substantive changes that have been made to the document since you've seen them last. Kathleen, did you want to call the vote or ask for questions?
Yeah, I'm before we vote, and thank you, Evie, for walking through that. We thought that since we have walked through the details of these a couple of times, with these groups. We didn't need to do that again. But did want to just provide the opportunity for anybody to ask questions or make comment before we do a roll call of the launch committee. So if anybody has a question or a comment, please raise your hand and then we'll jump in. Commissioner Duman. And Sarah is working on the unmuting, so we'll be patient when in the maneuvering of all of our Zoom controls.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Thank you. Kathleen, I wasn't sure because I'm, as a state commissioner, not a voting member on the launch committee. I don't know whether you're going to call the roll to have us comment during the vote or whether you, otherwise I'm happy to make some comments ahead of time in terms of my support for the bylaws. So just a timing issue. I didn't want to lose the opportunity. That's all.
Yeah, no, I think now is great.
Okay, great. So
yeah.
Milt Dummett from the Washington Commission and non-voting member of the launch committee and one of three Bosser liaisons to the formation committee. And I just wanted to say that although I won't be able to vote for these documents, I certainly would if I could, and I'm highly supportive. And just wanted to recognize, as you did at the outset, Kathleen, Evie, and Lisa, for working so closely with everybody, but including us in particular. Three Bosser members, we all had different sort of ideas, and I think we were accommodated in each of them. Generally, they related to recognition of the individual state policies that the Bosser members represent, that our role was clarified in terms of the nomination process, and that Bosser's funding was secured. I think we came to the language that we needed in every one of those cases, and it wasn't easy. And I know that you were working with others, Evie and Lisa, on this as well. So I just want to appreciate all the dedication to the task here. And I think these documents came out really well. And like I say, although not voting today, highly supportive. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mel. And maybe I'll take the opportunity too, again, if others want to chime in, but I will take the opportunity to acknowledge we did get a handful of comments on this and had some really great conversations on the side with some folks to talk through some of the concerns and questions. So thank you to everybody who took the time to really review and provide feedback. It's given us some ideas of other things for us to think about and address that are outside of the bylaws. And I think truly the idea here has always been to create a structure that provides lots of opportunity for input. And so for those who've taken that opportunity, thank you. And we will strive to continue to keep those opportunities open as we move forward and continue to develop a whole bunch of other parts of this new regional organization. So without seeing any additional hands, maybe we can go ahead and jump into roll call. I know we've gotten there are a handful of, I think we're missing a couple, but we have gotten some email notification ahead of time. So I'll note those as we go through the roll call for the record, for those who've indicated their position on these bylaws. So just going from our charter, so in that order, our first category is our California investor-owned utility transmission owners. And Scott Renzel from PG&E was unable to make the meeting today, but has indicated his affirmative vote via email. And Jeff Nelson, you are our other sector representative.
Yes, and we vote affirmative, and also a very big thank you to everyone that worked, both stakeholders and launch committee, formation committee. Thank you and enthusiastic support.
Thanks, Jeff. Next sector is our EIM entities. I got David Rubin.
Just like Jeff, again, a big thanks to everybody, and absolutely happy to vote in favor. Thanks.
David. Kirstine Rock.
Good morning. Pacific Core would like to vote in favor again, thank you for everybody's hard work on that.
Thanks, Kirsten. Pam Sporborg. Pam, I saw you give a thumbs up already once.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Pam Sporborg, Portland General Electric, share my appreciation and thanks to all the hard work that went into this, and an enthusiastic yes.
Thanks, Pam. Kelsey Martinez from PNN.
Good morning, Kelsey Martinez, Public Service Company of New Mexico. Voting in favor. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kelsey. Our next sector is public power and co-ops. Josh Walter, if you're on. Josh may not have made it. And Connor Wrighton is our next representative from the Northwest Requirements Utilities. I'm not sure Connor's on either. So we'll go on to Jim Shetler.
Yes, thank you. I also would like to extend appreciation for all the hard work and effort that went into this, and I vote enthusiastically yes.
Thanks, Jim. Randy Howard.
Yeah, Randy Howard from Northern California Power Agency, and we have member utilities in 3 different balancing areas, and enthusiastically as well. I would vote yes. Great documents, a great place to be.
Thanks, Randy. Our next sector is the independent power producers and their trade associations. So looking to Scott Miller from WPTF.
Yes, thank you, Scott Miller, Western Power Trading Forum, an enthusiastic yes. Thanks to everybody, especially Evie and Lisa. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Jan Smutney Jones. Smutney on? All right, follow Jan.
He is, I think. Or he was. He may have dropped off, but we can follow up with Jan.
Thanks. And Lisa Torman Hickey.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. I want to honor the work of Evie and my other formation committee members and the entire launch committee for all of its hard work to this date. On behalf of the Inter-West Energy Alliance, we are thrilled to vote yes to approve these documents and to approve formation of the ROE.
Thanks, Lisa. And I'll flag Spencer Gray from NIPSI is an alternate on this from this sector, but has also indicated his support. I think he's in France right now, accepting some kind of prestigious climbing award. So happy to have Spencer's support for this as well. So our next sector is the large commercial industrial customers. So myself and I also vote affirmatively for this, and then Priya Barua from the Clean Energy Buyers Association as the alternate for this. Also wanted to give an opportunity for her to chime in and vote as well.
Thanks, Kathleen. I just, again, just really appreciate all the hard work and very appreciative and thankful for everything that went into this. And yes, also affirmative vote and really thrilled to be at this point.
Thanks, Priya. Mutney, I see your hand raised. We'll come back to you.
And I'm sorry. I'm trying to unmute him.
Yeah.
And we both.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we had a power outage here that was temporary, and I don't know what in the world's happening, but thank you very much. And after work on this spanning 2 centuries, I enthusiastically support moving forward. This is an important part of the launch, and congratulations to all those who worked on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. You are our example of why we need more regional coordination. All right, our next sector is technology providers and their trade associations. Brian Turner from AEU.
Good morning, Brian Turner, Advanced Energy United, and great appreciation to Evie and Lisa and the Formation Committee for all their work. So with appreciation and enthusiasm for what comes next, I vote yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. And actually, before we go to the next one, it sounds like we've got Josh Walter now on. Josh, can we come to you and get...
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah. So also support and vote yes, and look forward to the work ahead. So thank you.
Thanks, Josh. All right, our next sector is labor. Mark Joseph.
I am pleased to vote yes and to recognize the distance we've come in the last 2.5 years, thanks to many, many people, including not the least of which is our two co-chairs.
Thanks, Mark. And then last but not least, our public interest organizations. So starting with Michael Colvin from EDF.
Michael Colvin with Environmental Defense Fund, voting yes. Just a huge thank you to Evie, to Lisa, to Kathleen for the hundreds of hours you all have put into getting us to this point. And I did want to just take a moment to say, to echo Mark Joseph's comments of, if you want to go far, go together. And we have gone mighty far the last 2 years. And just thank you all so much for your time and dedication.
Thanks, Michael. Elaine Ginocchio from Western Resource Advocates.
Hi, yeah, Elaine Ginocchio, Western Resource Advocates, representing them today. I'm recognizing this as a very, very significant milestone. Very pleased to vote in favor.
Thanks, Elaine. And Ben Otto from the Northwest Energy Coalition.
Hello, everyone. I vote in favor. Thanks for all the hard work.
Thanks, Ben. And because my computer screen skipped over, I missed one of my most key members of the launch committee, our representative from the non-utility load-serving entities and their trade associations, Evie Call.
Thanks, Kathleen. And I am absolutely delighted to be here today doing what we're doing. And thank you to Lisa and to all of you who've contributed either directly with your words and ideas or with your energy. I mean, this has just been an incredible journey, and we should all be very proud to be here. So we strongly support.
Thanks so much, Evie. And so with that, I think we have all of the enthusiastic, overwhelming support we could possibly dream of. And we will move forward with the incorporation of the new regional organization for Western Energy in January, and then take the next steps with finalizing our nonprofit application for the IRS and moving forward. So congratulations to everyone. This is a really huge milestone, and represents, again, a lot of vision and work from the launch committee and stakeholders beyond. This is the culmination of everything we put together into that final proposal. So thank you all. Congratulations. I'm really excited to take these next steps with you all. All right. So on to the updates. And again, I think, as we go, if you have any questions about any of these things, please don't hesitate to raise your hand, and maybe we'll kind of take them on the topics as we move forward here. So just a quick update on our board selection process. The formation committee is in the process of selecting an executive search firm who will help us identify and vet the candidates for our first 5-member board. Looking the timing we have anticipated at this point is trying to get a board seated in the middle of next year, early Q3, July-ish timeframe. We're looking to get a contract in place by the end of this year, so that we can move forward in earnest in January. The sectors have selected their nominating committee reps, and I'll bring up that list here next. And really, I think kind of mapping out this process. So far, we are on track to get the board selection process underway and to start to vet candidates in early 2026. Next slide, please. Thanks to all who have raised their hands and gotten support from their sectors to participate on the nominating committee. We're really excited about this group of people who are going to be tasked with a really big undertaking and finding a set of candidates that meet the qualifications that we envisioned and laid out in our final proposal. Again, I think it just continues to be worth mentioning. One of the foundational parts of the final proposal was this protecting the public interest and making sure that we've got public interest at the core of everything that we're doing. So that'll be an aspect of the qualifications that we have developed for the initial board members. But again, thanks to everyone who has raised their hand. When we get our search firm on board, we will be working with the nominating committee to kind of map out the process and make sure that everybody's got all of their meetings and events on their calendar early on. I'll pause. Any questions about the board selection process before I move on? All right. Next slide. Next, a quick update on our funding. As we have mentioned in the past, we have estimated approximately $7 to $8 million in costs for the implementation of the new regional organization. Many of those costs are associated with the executive search firm, the initial board members, some of the initial key staff members that we want to get in place early on, and of course, all the legal support we could possibly need for the various negotiations and document development that we have ahead of us. We are pursuing funding from three primary categories. Ongoing stakeholder support. I think it is worth mentioning that to date, we have raised about $800,000 to cover the work that we've done starting in really the fall of 2023 to this point today. So thank you all for the support that you have provided thus far, and appreciate the consideration of future support as well. Thanks to those who've already filled out their pledges for this next phase of work, and really appreciate the continued support for this work. We have a pledge form available on the WEEB website. So if you or your organization is interested and willing to provide that financial support, please check out the pledge form, reach out to any of us with questions, and we will make sure that we get those things processed in a timely manner. We are also having some conversations with some foundations about some philanthropic support for this work, and are optimistic that we will see some grants to support a portion of our funding gap as well. And then we are pursuing some debt financing options that we're hoping to have in place sometime next year to cover the remaining gap that will get us where we need to be by the time we get our ongoing funding from through the tariff, hopefully in early 2028. Any questions about the funding at this point? All right, next slide, please. Quick overview of the work that we are planning. This is obviously very high level, and we will be providing additional details on each of these work streams in the beginning of next year, and as we develop the work plans with more detail. Funding, obviously, this is something we're going to need funding between now and when this thing goes live. So that's why that line goes all the way to 2028. We are working with the CAISO, who has been a partner with us thus far, recognizing that We are two different parties at this point, but the partnership with the CAISO continues to be very important. The tariff modifications to move the authority of the EIM and EDAM from the CAISO to the new regional organization. We've started those conversations. We're going to be continuing that work. This includes a full stakeholder process as any tariff changes do. So we're working with the CAISO on that sort of stakeholder process for those changes to the tariff moving forward. Just wanted to note again, kind of tying it back to the seating of the initial board. One of the things that's so important about that related to this, to these work streams, is that initial board gives us and gives the new regional organization that independent oversight. It gives it its own identity, and it creates that truly independent entity for the negotiations for all of these various work streams that will enable us to fully implement the pathways proposal. So just noting the timing of that and how that intersects with the work streams that we're undertaking. Along those lines, we'll be working on the negotiation between the regional organization and the CAISO for the service agreement that will really that will capture the full relationship and how the CAISO and the new regional organization will interact, and how how we ensure that we are meeting the level of independence that we have envisioned for the new regional organization, where we have the CAISO continuing to play a critical role as market operator and even providing some of the support services that the RO will need in its early stages. That agreement will contain the results of things that we are going to be stakeholdering through various other efforts, including the stakeholder process. The way we're thinking about the stakeholder process at this point is kind of in three kind of buckets. One of those is really how we're stakeholdering all of the work that needs to get done between now and 2028. Another bucket is, what does the RO's stakeholder process look like on day one for the new regional organization? So once it's up and running and carrying out its own stakeholder process, what does that fully look like? And then the third, which of course all of these are interrelated, is the work that we'll be doing with the Regional Issues Forum to develop and fully implement the transition from the RIF to the Stakeholder Representative Committee. We were excited to see the RIF's white paper about a month ago, and the launch committee submitted some comments just to acknowledge that we're supportive of the direction they're taking and look forward to the partnership with them and the CAISO to see all of this come to fruition. The other couple of work groups that we're going to be focusing on are the development of the scope of work for the Office of Public Participation and the implementation of the Consumer Advocate's Office. Just as a reminder, the Office of Public Participation is going to be a part of the regional organization, and it's really going to be tasked with facilitating engagement and providing the educational materials to support that engagement for stakeholders who are interested in participating in the RO processes, particularly those who have not engaged to date, and just trying to help people understand how to engage and what some of the issues are that the RO is taking on. So making sure we've got a scope of work that's set up to bring on the staff early on to make sure that office is up and running from the get-go. And then the state consumer advocate offices are taking on the development and implementation of a new separate consumer advocate office. We include it here because this is a critical component of the step 2 proposal, even though it's going to be less the formation committee and more the state consumer advocate offices themselves pursuing this particular work stream. I'll pause for a second, see if there's any questions about the various work groups and work streams we have ahead of us as we look towards early 2028. All right, seeing none. Next slide, please. I will pause. Michael.
Apologies, I just couldn't get my hand fast enough, Kathleen.
No
I did
worries.
just yeah. I did just want to note how important both the Consumer Advocate's Office and the Office of Public Participation are in this process, and just what an incredible opportunity we have in developing all of this. And so, as we are thinking through all the priorities this next year, this is something that is sort of at the core of why I think what we are developing in the West is so foundationally important. And so I'm just excited to continue to uplift all of this work.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the support. All right. So to that end, our continued stakeholder participation, we're going to continue to host our monthly meetings in 2026. Things, as I've mentioned, will change a little bit once we have an independent board seated, and they will be really the drivers and the decision makers. And the launch committee, at least to this point, has pretty collectively said, we're here to help. We're going to be working to help develop all of the various work product that will be necessary for those work streams. So we are moving ahead with the assumption that the initial board is going to need some support and continue to lean on the launch committee as we move forward. But we'll obviously be taking direction from that initial board once they are seated. But we will continue to have these updates, and we'll also be exploring as we're developing our work plans for some of those work groups. There will be some additional potential opportunities for engagement and participation in that work as well. Next slide, please. To that end, our next stakeholder meeting is going to be on Friday, January 30th. Where we will adopt all of all the documents that are necessary for our nonprofit application, and provide an update again on sort of where we are in the work streams. You can find all of the documents on the Weeb landing page. Thanks again to Weeb for continuing to host those documents. I anticipate at some point in 2026 we'll see something that is more independent to the RO, but appreciate the opportunity to lean on Weave and the landing page for all of our documents to date. Next slide. All of our contact information, as always, and I will, pause again, see if anybody else has any comments or questions here at the end. But as people figure out if they want to say anything, I just want to again just acknowledge how much we have gotten done this year in Western energy market development. It is astounding as we've looked at the list of milestones and accomplishments over the course of the year. The momentum that we have going into 2026, being able to get to this point and having the foundational pieces in place for the new regional organization, it is just an incredible set of accomplishments, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you for all of the work that you've done, either into the Pathways Initiative, adjacent to the Pathways Initiative, but just to the benefit of the region. Feel very fortunate to work with all of you. Kirstine, you came off mute. I want to see if you wanted to say something.
I did not, other than in addition to all the work you're doing, I actually appreciate the tight meetings you run, so I'm appreciative for that. I know you have a lot to people to manage, so
thank you. At some point I'm going to have a lunch break. So it's kind of self-interested, maybe. Scott, you had your hand raised.
Well, I did, but after Kirsten said, tight meeting, I lowered it. So, sorry. But I did want to say, it was amazing all the work that was done before the legislation was passed. First, to get the legislation passed, but the formation committee did all this work not knowing if the legislation was going to pass, so that we would be in a position to do this. So kudos to all of you all who brought this about. That was amazing. And Kirsten, I could go on, but I want to run a tight meeting too.
I have no doubt that you can, sir. This is not a challenge.
For what it's worth, Scott, I always thought we would get the legislation passed. So All right. Well, thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. We look forward to picking things up in January, and appreciate again all of the support and time and effort. And I hope you all have a wonderful December. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.